Hello, Hana. Solodovnik here. It's February 13th, 2025, and this is mirror work, the third part. I finished the two videos on looking at inviting people to Hana Sage and the soul immersion, and then on the clear vision program. I wanted to come back because I'm feeling a little bit of tension, just noticing, and then recognizing, both of those were not great videos, and they were perfect for right now. Because if I don't start here, where am I gonna go? And I really appreciate that, like hearing about the origins of things like Mr. Beast. Oh, he got his fame by just counting. Cool. That was his fame, is just counting. And I could do a stunt like that. Or I could record hours of videos of mirror work and actually do the work for myself at the same time. Do the work for myself at the same time. Do the work and actually show up. Not to say this is better, but this is what I want for me. I don't want to just create a stunt. I mean, they're cool, but it takes a lot of time, energy, and effort. And right now I've got a lot of cool stuff. I've got a really cool family. I got really cool friends. I got cool food. I got cool life. I've got blessed with a body that feels younger. I was telling someone who's turning 33 today that I feel younger at 44 than I did definitely at 33. I slept in all the time. That, man, I can remember that. And just not knowing who I was every day felt like a challenge. Wow, 33. That's when I was transitioning from working as an Apple genius into working the pharmaceutical world and shifting into money. And grateful for that external validation, grateful for going out to those meals, and now realizing I go out to meals all the frickin' time and I love it. And how do I take even better care of this temple? And how much more fun it is being able to see. It's funny because we were talking about this with the map of consciousness, Dr. David Hawkins, power versus force. And just with that level of consciousness, you have different ideas completely. And right now, the ideas I'm having are so different than before. There's a drive to get things done. There's a drive to create money still. There's a drive for the wealth. And there's an idea in the head, it's like, when I get to that point, then I can buy a really nice computer and play video games again. There's a part that is reminding me how important it is to live in the fantasy world as well. That fantasy world is probably more akin to reality than we think. Than I think. Like, there's a reason why I read the Foundation series. This is my foundational series. There's a way to actually use psychohistory to predict the future, but as you actually go through it, you realize, oh, it's only the future because there's people guiding it in the background towards that future at the same time. It's this lovely interplay in this game. It's both and, like, it's like, oh, and I love in the TV show, he's creating consciousness for himself. That is AI that's living on. Because I don't think that Isaac Asimov, or maybe he wrote iRobot as well, that's the other one. Like, you can build a consciousness into something. But that's not really you in a way, and it is you. What if that is it? Like, we're all facets of God. And so everything we're building is just a facet of ourselves. So as much as we're like, oh, I'm building this clone so I can live on forever, there's a part of that that's true. I'm having a child so I can live on. Part of that's true. Erasing a whole family line. Oh, that's such a tricky one, because then you're like, oh, I'm becoming that line that erased my line as well. And then there's just the things that happen, whether they just happen or not. Like right now, there could be an earthquake right here. And I would look and be like, oh my God, the world's falling apart. What am I seeing? And I haven't had that experience yet, and that's okay. I don't need to have every experience in this lifetime. I don't strive to have every experience in this lifetime. Like reading about Morgan Housel and living through an avalanche like he did, and then losing 2 really good friends to avalanche. Like, I don't strive to live through that. I've already had a really good friend die from an ice climbing accident. So crazy to think. So crazy to think. And I had ice climbed before. That's one of my favorite pictures. Janice underneath the icicles. The randomness that can happen in life, and the reminder every day to just take a second. And I'm next to this beautiful fire. I really enjoy having this fire here, transmuting energy. Right now, I'm planning my trip back to PEI. We're going for my parents' 50th anniversary and trying to figure out how to do it in a way that serves. And letting it unfold. My beloved's found a couple places that she likes. It's about $3,000 Canadian for 2 weeks. Not chump change, that's for frickin' sure. And we may do it, because that may be more important than everything else. And it's a reminder, what's the most important thing? And I'll check with Gene Sullivan probably. So there's so many things, so many different ways of doing things. And I'm reminding myself which are the ones that I want to choose. I don't have to do them all. But there's some that I want to choose. And just looking at the houses on the horizon and just wondering, how do we get to this point where we're building all these places where we know that they're kind of crappy? Like, the people designing it, the people building it, the people buying it, but we're all actively deluding ourselves that they're solid, that the regulations are keeping us safe. Because regulations, force again versus power, someone taking pride in their building going, this is my building. Like, this is my building. And it's taking pride because the comparison points are so strong. And that's the pieces to remember is, for example, I do admire Elon because he's making it that way, but he would benefit from having someone now come in and say, okay, how do we make this matter even more? Like having a Steve Jobs version, although he may not be trying to do that, right? He may actually realize that these cars are only going to last 8 to 10 years. The technology is changing so fast. Is it really worth it to improve on that in that way? Versus a house. And he is actually getting into building houses now, these tiny houses. And it is true, having them be that cheap makes it really deployable. People that care about what they do. How do we come back to that? Mirror work. This is it. I'm going to keep coming back to what I do, why I do it. Keep coming back to sharing this. And I'm going to share this with my team today. This is part of my insight, doing this mirror work. This is my insight. I've already created, probably at least a dozen hours of content. It's pretty good. Let's keep going. Part of this year, one of my goals may be creating I was gonna say 1,000 hours, maybe 100 hours. Let's say 100 hours. 100 hours worth of videos this year. And we'll see if it becomes more. It probably will become more. It probably will become more than that. I'm just gonna report on myself doing every single thing. It's gonna be fucking ridiculous. I'm gonna start deleting some of the videos I've already transferred over. Let's clear out the iPhoto. Ciao for now.